And you know about the lifeboats. There weren't enough for all the passengers. I mean, legally, in those days, technically there were. They weren't really meant to hold 2,200 people at once. They were meant to ferry people back and forth to safety. And when the captain told everyone to get in the lifeboats, there was a little confusion there too. Half of the people thought he said women and children first, and half of the people thought he said women and children only. So the lifeboats, when they did go out, they were only half full. Oh, and if that wasn't enough, many of the passengers left their portal windows open. So the ship sank a little faster than it was supposed to. Now, they would have known that if they had gone to the safety training. Oh, wait, there was no safety training. It was canceled for the day. This multi-million-dollar ship going out on the maiden voyage, and there was no safety training because it was unsinkable. They didn't think anything was going to happen. So the Titanic was a very luxurious ship for its day, but it failed in safety. Why do we always have to find out about things after they happen? What if we could spot problems before they happen? What if we could think like an inventor and spot problems that other people miss? Now, I am an inventor, and I missed my own safety problem. I was like the Titanic, I was overly confident. I went out for a run in Texas in the heat in the middle of the summer, and I didn't bring water with me. I thought, I'm not going that far. It's not that hot. I'll just drink some water before I go out. And I was wrong. And I passed out from dehydration and heat stroke on the side of the road. Luckily, people in Texas are friendly, and someone took me to the hospital. And as I'm lying there with an IV, I'm thinking, I was kind of dumb, but I didn't have anywhere to carry water. And then it occurred to me, what if you could carry water hands-free on the body where it's easily accessible, like on your wrist? And I thought, surely somebody had come up with that idea before, but no one had. So I got a patent on the idea, manufactured it, and have sold it in 24 countries around the world to about 1 million people. So I solved my own safety problem and solved a problem for at least 1 million people. A recent survey stated that people are 10 times more likely to stay in a job because of friendships, greater job satisfaction than a pay raise. People who have a best friend at work are 7 times more likely to be engaged in their job. I kind of believe that. I've had jobs where I wanted to leave and my friends said, no, you're not leaving. They produce higher quality work, greater job satisfaction, and that leads to higher retention. So how many of you plan social events to encourage employees to make friends? How many of you do that? Like birthday parties, Christmas parties? A few people? Okay. Book night, movie night, game night. I saw something, it was comedy for nurses. I thought, that is perfect. Also, when you do something like that, encourage your employees to bring in friends who might want a job. Brag about your employees. I found this, I normally don't look for information in my groceries, but I found this in my carton of eggs. The Country Hen Farm News has got a picture of Felicia Smith, customer service rep, and it's talking about, how she loves the job and, everything. And then at the end, it says she brought a friend. So she brought a friend. Maybe that friend would bring a friend. They're probably going to stay. And this is kind of bragging about employees. Earthbound Farms lettuce. Also on the back, it says, meet farmer John Romans. And it's got a picture of him, and it's like, we love our farmers. They're the best. I know that yours is not a product, but there are ways to do that that is not product-based. 80% of employees say they're inspired to work harder and more likely to stay at their job if their boss appreciates them. 80%. So this is something you can do right here, and this is totally free. This is it's the CEO of the Credit Union of North Carolina, and he goes around to all the branches, and he takes selfies with his employees. And they're happy and smiling, and he says, we love our employees, they're the best. And then what he could say if they were hiring, he could just say, and we're hiring more. Want to join this team or something like that? I want to see everybody doing this. You can do this tomorrow. This is free, and this is a great, great way to get the word out that you're, not only that you're hiring, but also that you are bragging about the people you have now. Promote yourself. Okay, how many of you look at me like, what the heck are you talking about? I'm an employee. How am I going to promote myself? I've done it many times, and I'm going to give you one of my examples. This is creating an opportunity within a corporation, one that I came up with, and one that a woman engineer has. So this is many years ago, I used to work on a cruise ship. It was a dinner cruise in New York, around Manhattan. And that is not the boat, but the boat was pretty big. It was 3 decks, and you can see people had to go on the boat on the bottom deck. Now, on this dinner cruise, the top 2 levels were dinner and dancing. It was very fancy, and the bottom deck was always empty. You know, stored boxes there and stuff. And my boss, for whatever reason, would always find some reason. I don't know why he didn't like me. I didn't party with everybody after work. I don't know what it was. He would always go, oh, yeah, well, let's put Julie in that station where she won't make any money. And he was just always doing that to me. And one day, I made a connection, and I saw that people were putting their coats on the backs of their chairs. This is a fancy cruise. It looked a little tacky. So I said, I went to him and I said, what if we had a coat check room? I'll set it up and run it and stay down with the coats and whatever. And the bottom deck is empty anyway, and people have to come into the boat on that deck. And he thought he was demoting me. So he said, oh, yeah, okay, that's a good idea. Yeah, you stay down there. Well, that boat held 500 people. And it was sold out every single night. It's a fancy dinner cruise. Most people will tip $1, at least. So you're good at math. I used to bring a miniature suitcase to work. And I wouldn't tell anybody. I was like, oh, yeah, Julie, you go down and do the coat check. Okay. Yeah! I worked 2 hours a night. I was making between $500 to $1,000 a night in 2 hours. I was making more money than my boss. I was making more money than the captain of the ship. And you can bet I signed up for every single shift. I did not want that secret out. So, can you create a department or a job or a leadership position within a corporation? That was a corporation. Absolutely. Now that's just, a tiny example, but not so tiny actually. I mean, really, really good money. So here's an example of a woman engineer. Olive Dennis. Does anybody know who Olive Dennis is? Okay. Olive Dennis worked for the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. And she'd just gotten her job as an engineer, and she was so happy. She was like, oh, I love my job. I'm an engineer now. I can't wait
She's only on the job a few months, and the president of the company came to her and said, "I'd like to give you another job." She went, "What did I do wrong?" He said, "No, no, no. It's a promotion, but it's not going to be in engineering." And she said, "Oh, no, no. I don't care about the money. I love my engineering job. I'm going to stay here. Can you just maybe come back later?" So he did. He wanted her. And he came back a few months later and he said, "All right, I'm going to offer you more money." And she said, "Under the condition that I can go back to my engineering job." He said, "Okay." So here's what the job was. They created a new title, service engineer. And basically, it was customer service and engineering. They used innovation to create a new department. Now, in this case, her boss came to her with the idea. But it's very likely that she could have taken that idea to her boss, just like I did with the coat check room. He gave her complete creative control, and what her job was to go through the entire train, the whole process, like from the ticketing to the ride to everything. And she was so happy. She had complete control. So here's what she did. Now, that picture is the new and improved train. It's not very clear. You can't see it that well. But the old train was dirty and smelly, and the seats didn't recline, and the lights were either on or off, and so you couldn't read at night, and the colors were icky, and everything about it. People would take it if they had to, but they didn't really like it. So a lot of women and kids didn't want to go on the train. Now, that's why he wanted a woman with the technical experience and a woman's touch as an engineer. So keep that in mind. Now, what she did, she overhauled the whole thing. New colors, carpet. They had, attendants or stewardesses, whatever you call them. The seats would recline. Also, a man had designed the seats so women's feet were dangling over the side. She put a footrest on there. See, if a man is designing something, they're going to design it for themselves. She designed it for women. The lighting system, she created the lighting so it was individual, so you could read at night. And she actually invented and patented an individual ventilator system. So the air, there was no air conditioning on it before, and the air would come out individually. So the next time you're on a plane and you reach up and you turn the air or you turn the reading light on, you're going to remember Olive Dennis. She made travel comfortable. So that's something, not saying that a man couldn't do that, but obviously the train was invented and engineered. All of the things were designed by a man, and that wasn't working for everyone. Olive included everyone and made the travel much more pleasant. Also, here's what she did for the company. She invented a China pattern and patented a China pattern that was used in the dining cart. So the dining cart was open 24 hours, so they sold food, they sold drinks, and a train system started selling China. Here's how they did it. So the train would stop along the way at the county fairs, and they would take the china and sell it. They sold over 2,000 sets of these in the first fair that they went to. So even though this cost the company money, their revenue went way up. All of a sudden, the trains were packed. So the best thing to do if you want to do something like this and create your own opportunity, obviously, is to not, have any cost to the company. And if you do, you need to justify it. Just like with the coat check, it costs them nothing. It costs my company nothing. It was valuable to the company, it was valuable to the customers, and certainly valuable to me. So try to come up with ideas that don't cost money if possible.